Okay, Gaffer, nice to catch up with you once again. It's a week ago since we spoke to you. I suppose you've been in touch with your staff and your players. Let's have an update. Is everything okay?
Yeah, everything's fine. No new issues, no particularly old issues. The lads are keeping fit. You know, we've set another challenge this morning. We're just going through this unprecedented time that we're in.
Are you devising something different for them every week while you're out?
Yes, that's the plan. Just to try and keep them engaged in football. It's difficult. It's not as if we can say, watch this game or watch that game, because there's no football. Unless you might follow Belarusian football, which none of us do. So, I think we've got to make the best of a bad situation. There's some comfort in the fact that everyone's in the same boat. But we've got to make sure we stay ahead of the curve and we're ready to go whenever we can return.
Just going back a couple of days as we headed towards the weekend, you and your staff and one or two of the players got around quite a lot of interest from the supporters. I think that's gone down absolutely brilliant. How do you feel about that? Being in touch with your fans?
Oh, I think it's the very, very least we can do. To be honest, we're fortunate that we can still go outside and do some sort of semblance of what we do in our normal working lives. So we know that we're extremely fortunate, and we're also extremely fortunate to have a role model status. And I know some footballers that let the whole industry down, going to parties and crashing cars. They are the minority. They are. But for every sort of ridiculous and bad deed that footballers do, there's lots and lots of good deeds that footballers do that go unnoticed, I have to say. And not, purposefully go unnoticed, because they don't want the criticism that will come their way, if you like, from donating money to NHS or food or whatever. Now, I don't think it's much to ask for me and the staff to ring some supporters that might not be in as the same mindset as what we are. And if we can pick the players up and pick the supporters up and give them a little boost and a little lift, whether that be older members of society who are on their own and might be struggling, or whether it might be a young boy whose birthday party's been cancelled, and anywhere else in between, then I think that's the least we can do. And I think it was a terrific initiative. It was well received, and it'll happen again.
Well, I hope you've realised, Dave, that the next time we come face to face, having spoken to a Crewe Alexander supporter for 70 years, real bright as a button, the first thing she greeted me was, "It's Graham McGarry." So I just want to remind you that the next time we come together, I've changed my name. Anyway, on a more serious note, before you get your answer in, things have happened over the weekend, and the season's now been sort of suspended indefinitely. Is that a good move, first of all?
Yeah, just before I come on to that, James, can you put a G McGarry on the list? Because obviously self-isolation is having real problems with it. I'll give him a ring next week.
I thought you'd have to have an answer. Go on.
To answer the Knight of the Realms question, I think that's a wise thing, because last thing you want to keep doing it from the Football League point of view is keep getting the dates put back. I think everyone understands that the season's got to finish for a whole host of reasons, whether that be financial, broadcasting, legal. All these issues are far easier remedied than actually cancelling the season. The only people who would win it, cancel the season, would be the lawyers. Now, obviously, setting dates and keep pushing it down the line is not a good thing for anyone's sort of mental health. I agree when you've ever had builders in or tradesmen and they tell you it's going to be 2 weeks and they're still around 5 weeks' time. You just want to see the back of them. Like if they told you from the outset it's going to be 5 weeks, you'd have your head around it. And you'd have been, you'd have been accustomed to that day. But if you keep pushing the can down the road into the start date, it's not a great way to go about things. But if you just suspend it and say, we'll be back as soon as it's safe to do so, well then you've got half a chance of, everyone's going, right, okay, fine. We're going to come back. We don't know when yet, but at least can get his head around that fact. And then the next announcement of the day is a positive one, as opposed to we're going to push it to the road.
Do you really feel though that decision is now leaning towards what we've been maintaining from day one, that the season will get finished?
Yeah, I'm 85-95% certain that'll be the case. Obviously the only thing that I would say that puts doubt into my mind is how long extremely high deaths occur, because that's got to have some sort of impact. Like I said, the alternative to finishing the football season is actually null and voiding it or anything like that. Now, don't get me wrong, Belgium have stopped their season, but you've got to remember they haven't null and voided it. They've actually honoured exactly where everyone stands. There's a difference. I think that's the sort of middle ground. This is not going to go on forever. And when you're 80% way through a season, yes, it might look different when we come back. But at the minute, I'd say I'm 80-90% certain that we'll resume and we'll finish the season.
There's a lot of talk going on, and still going on, about the Premier League and helping the lower league clubs financially. The players, of course, are going to have to agree to that for that to happen. What are your feelings?
First of all, I think the players are getting an extremely bad rap. There's politicians throwing footballers under the bus when they do a lot of good things. Like I said, they're told them not. There's a lot of football clubs that are taking extremely correct decisions business-wise, but are morally letting themselves down. They are, for me, selling their, if you make, let's say, £42 million profit, you should not be furloughing your staff and putting it on the British taxpayer, in my opinion. Now, as a pure business decision, that's the correct decision to make. From a whole moral standpoint, and every other British taxpayer, that's a reprehensible decision. It doesn't matter which side of the fence I sit on, it's happened. I think it's different if you're in the Championship, League 1 and League 2, because you're trying to make your football club survive. Don't get me wrong, there could be football clubs, if you made a £42 million profit, they've already spent that £42 million. You don't know. So there's got to be some caution to judgments, but at the same time, on the face of it, without going into the ins and outs, I don't know. It looks a correct business decision, but a morally reprehensible one.
You've just mentioned the furlough situation. Is that something that crew are considering, or have you spoken to anybody about that?
I think it's what every club in League 1 and League 2 in the country. I don't think anybody's not considering it. I know some clubs have already said they will do it, which is understandable. There's very few clubs in the Football League make a profit, and if they do make a profit, it's because they've sold their own players generally. you've got to understand it. If you furlough your staff, you can then pay 5 months' money rather than 1 month's money. You can pay 5 lots of 20% rather than 1 lot of 100%. And I think everyone would agree that they'd rather have a job in 5 months' time than just for the next month. And I suppose that's the short and the long of it. There's a lot of money in football. It all tends to be at the top end of the game. So I think football clubs to take advantage of the government's scheme, the job retention scheme, when they're in good financial position, like I say, is morally questionable. I think for the rest of the football clubs that survive sort of hand to mouth, game to game, day to day, I think it's a lifeline that they need, like the other business in the country. So, I think we're the PFA need to understand that there's a whole broad spectrum of situations across the football pyramid. And you saw like Gordon Taylor coming out and saying, well, if you can pay your players 250 grand a week, you should, which is, fine, and I get it. I understand exactly why he's saying that. But if your players are on 500 quid and you can't pay them, and you can apply to the government and top up their wages and give them just the 20% the government give them 80%, and that's probably the right thing to do. So I think the whole football league needs to get together, or certainly leagues. But obviously that's difficult to do without the PFA's contribution and agreement, really, which I think will happen. And you've got to remember that payday for most football clubs is another 3 weeks, so they've got another 3 weeks to sort this out. And the job retention scheme is last month, this month, and the month after. So there's a bit of time yet for people to get their heads together. But the good thing is people are talking. People understand where they're at. Football is a huge part of society. For me, it's the rhythm of the nation. And we've got to play our part as an industry and help keep people safe and mentally on the right lines, and make sure we don't take any damaging decisions in the industry, I think.